Hi, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be showing you how you can make this little witch costume for your Nuimos. So for this costume we have a little witch's hat, we have a little dress, and we have this little broomstick. So I'll be showing you how to make all three of these pieces. Okay, so the first thing I did to make the dress was to get one of the Nuimo dresses which I'd previously bought, and what I did was to make sure I got the right size for my Nuimo was to trace around the different parts of the dress. So I put this onto paper, drew around the bodice's part. So there's this front piece of the bodice here, so I just drew around this, leaving an extra ½ inch for seam allowance. Then on the back there's two more pieces. There's a piece here and this piece here, and then there's a third piece which is the skirt. So for the skirt, what I did was I got a measuring tape and I measured how long this piece was, pattern piece from that. So once you've drawn around all those pieces and you got your pattern, it should look something like this. Here is your front piece of your bodice and your two back pieces of your bodice. These two will overlap because you're going to have Velcro on either side of these, so these should be bigger than your front piece if you put them together. So if you put these two over the top of here, as you can see, it's a lot bigger because you have to overlap for the Velcro. So you've got, that's for your bodice piece, and then you'll have a long rectangle piece for your skirt piece. Okay, so once you've done that, like I said, it's really simple. You just draw around the different parts of your dress to get the right size. So like I said, you just draw the shape here. For your first piece, you draw around this bit here and add an extra like ½ inch for seam allowance. So that's how I did that. And then what you need to do is you need to cut out all your pieces. If you're just doing a single piece of fabric, like underneath, this is actually two pieces of fabric sewn together, so it's a black piece. It's a black piece, and then it's this mesh over the front. So if you want to do something like that, you'll need to cut out your black piece and your mesh piece. So you need to cut out two pieces of each. Okay, so the next part is to cut out your fabric. So what you'll need to do for the bodice is you'll need the bodice to be lined, just so you don't have raw edges on like the neckline and the armholes. You'll need to line it. So you need to cut out two of each of these to make your bodice, and then you obviously just need one piece for your skirt. If you are doing an overlay on this dress, I've done an overlay with this netting, you'll also need to cut out a piece of your overlay fabric as well. So once you have all your fabric pieces cut out, which I have here, you then need to start sewing it together. So first you need to sew your bodice together. So I'm just going to get all my pieces. Here we go. So these are all my pieces when they are cut out. So this is the front bodice piece. So I have 3 pieces. So you want to put your right sides together, and if you have a mesh you also want to put that in between your black pieces. So I'm just going to put that over the top of there, and then like I said, you want the right sides together. That needs to go over here. And then what you need to do is you just need to sew as close to the edge as you can, and just sew around here, leaving the bottom piece unsewn so you can turn it in back the right way around. So that's what you need to do first. So I'm going to take this over the sewing machine, sew around these pieces to here, stopping there, leaving that gap to turn it right side out. Then once you've done that, you need to do the same with your side pieces. So put right sides together. If you have a mesh, put that in between of them both. Like that. And then again, what you will do is you'll sew around these pieces, leaving the bottom bit unsewn so you can turn it the right side out. And then you do the same with your second back piece of your bodice. So I'm going to take these 3 pieces over the sewing machine now, sew these bits up, and then I'll show you what you need to do next. Okay, so I'm now just taking it over to the sewing machine, and I'm just going to sew the bodice pieces. So I'm just using the simple straight stitch, and I'm gonna sew this on my slow speed setting just because I find it easier. So I'm just gonna put my machine to slow speed, and I've got black thread in because I'm using black material. So I'm just gonna start this side. Make sure, I'm actually gonna pin my fabric pieces together just so they don't move while I'm sewing them, just because they are so small. Just make sure they're properly lined up. Okay, so that's all lined up. So I'm just going to take this on the sewing machine and just sew around the edges. So like I said, try and sew as close to the edge as you can. So what am I doing? I'm doing about 1/8 of an inch. I'm to do your back stitch and then just sew around. Okay, once you've done sewing, it should look something like that, and then what I'm going to do is just turn it inside out. So I use the end of a paintbrush to help me turn it the right way around. Okay, so once you're done, it should look like that. So you can press it so it's flatter. There we go, that is the first part of the bodice. Now I just need to sew the other 2 pieces. So yeah, with the other 2 pieces, do exactly the same. I just pin it, sew around the edges and turn them inside out. So I'm just going to do that now. Okay, so I've got the piece all clipped down, so I'm just going to sew around the edges. So okay, so once you've sewn all your bodice pieces, you now need to sew them all together. So just line them up. So you want right sides together, and then I'm just going to clip them together. Okay, so once you've clipped it all together, just sew the pieces that need sewing. So you just need to sew across the top of the straps, each one of the straps, and just down each side here, obviously leaving the armholes and the neck hole and the bottom unsewn. So like I said, it's just across the top of each strap and down each side there. So I'm going to do that now. I will say the type of material that I've chosen to use, this silky stuff, is really difficult to sew when you're doing really tiny things. So probably better doing it cotton, but I thought this is more of a Halloweeny look, so I chose this sort of shiny fabric. But yeah, probably should have chosen a cotton. Okay, so once you've sewn it together, it should look something like this, and then you just need to turn it right around, and it should look something like this. Then you can just try it on your Nuimo to make sure that it fits. So I've got my Jasmine Nuimo, and that fits really nicely. So now we just need to do this skirt bit. Okay, so now it's time to move on to the skirt part of the dress. So what you're first going to do is fold over about 1/2 inch at the bottom, clip it down, and then just sew across. Just keeps the fabric together, and it also gives you your hemline. So I'm just going to sew straight across this now. Okay, so that bit is now done. So now what I'm going to do is I think it's called a running stitch, where I do the longest stitch length that I can do. I sew it just across the top, and then don't back stitch it, because you want to be able to pull your skirt along it and give it the ruffled look. So on my machine I'm going to set my stitch length to the highest, which is 5, and then I'm just going to do a stitch just across the top of the skirt. Let's get it straight. I'm going to pin the other fabric down just so it doesn't move. Oops. Okay, so once you've done that, just take the thread from one of the sides, maybe this side would be easier, and just take the thread from one of the sides, and what you just need to do is just pull along here, like this. It'll just ruffle up the skirt, so ruffle it up as much as you need to so that it'll fit across your bodice. So you want it to be able to fit across here, so all this bit needs to be pulled across. So I'm just going to do this now and show you what it looks like. Do that until you've got something like this. And then what you need to do is just take your bodice and then your skirt and just clip your bodice to the bottom. Just clip your bodice to the skirt like that. So I'm just going to do it. Okay, so when you've clipped it together it should look something like that, and then all you have to do is sew across the top here to sew the two parts together. So I'm just going to do that now. Make sure you remember to put your stitch length back. Okay, so once you've sewn the skirt on, it should look like this. The next thing you need to do is to just fold over the edge here slightly on the skirt because it's a raw edge, and just sew down. Just do that on each side. Okay, so when you've done that, the edges look much neater, and then the last thing to do is just add the Velcro to the back. Okay, so just cut your Velcro to size. You want it to be about the length of the dress, so about that size, and then you sew this piece, you sew one piece to the outer dress and the other side you sew on the inner dress, so you wrap it over like that. Okay, so I'm just going to sew this piece onto the dress here like this. so that's the Velcro sewn to the outer dress, and now I just need to sew the piece that goes on the inner dress. Just going to sew this piece just on the inside of the dress. Just there. Okay, so there's your dress done with your Velcro sewn on. So now I'm going to put it on to my Nuimo. Here's the Jasmine Nuimo. So there she is in her little dress, and now I'm just going to put the little ribbon across this bit. So I've gone for a purple ribbon on Jasmine's dress. You can hot glue this on, you can sew it on if you want to, or I've just tied it around her waist. But if you want it permanently on, you can just hot glue it on, which is I think the easiest option, because I mean you can sew it on, but you have to make sure you use the correct colour thread. So there she is in her dress. Now I just need to make her hat and her broomstick. Okay, so now we're going to make the witches' hats. So this is the pattern that I designed for the hats. I think they're a bit big, but I don't have time to change them, so I'm just going to do this pattern. So we've got this circular one with a circle in the middle. That's going to be the rim of the hat. And then this is going to be obviously the pointy bit. So you'll need to cut out 2 of the circle ones for the top and the bottom of the rim, and then just 1 of these. So I'm going to cut this pattern out now and then cut out my fabric. I'm going to be making the hat out of felt just because it's stiffer and the hat tends to stand up better using felt. Okay, so I'm just going to cut out the pattern now. So this is a right angle, so on this A4 piece of felt I literally just have to cut the circle bit out here. So I'm just going to clip that down and then cut it out. There you go, so that's that piece cut out. So for one hat you then need to cut out 2 of these pieces. I'm just going to cut out my next piece. I'm actually thinking this is quite floppy, so I think I might actually put the interfacing in between it. Yeah, I'm going to put some interfacing in because I think that's going to be too floppy for the rim of the hat. So yeah, I'm going to do some interfacing in between this as well. So all I need to do is cut out another one of these out of some interfacing and then iron it onto one of the pieces. Okay, so this is the interfacing. So it has like a bobbly side, which is where like the glue is, so when you iron this on it'll stick down. So this is the side you would stick to your fabric, with the side with the bobbly bit. So I'm just going to cut these out now, and then I need to cut out the netting bit that's going to go over the fabric. Okay, so I now have all my pieces cut out. So this has got some interfacing, the felt, and then like the net or meshy, I'm not sure what the fabric's called, to go over the top. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to go over to the iron, and I'm going to fold this over the mesh and then iron down the interfacing, and then it will hold the mesh in place. So that I found that the best way to do it, and then it just holds that in place when it sticks the interfacing down. So I'm going to do that for both pieces, and then I'll go over to the sewing machine and show you me sewing it together. Okay, so the next step is to sew the pieces together. So here I've got both pieces of felt next to on top of each other, right sides together. And what I'm now going to do is I'm just going to sew around the edge, this outer edge, and also the inner edge, leaving the ends here open so I can turn it inside out. So that is the next step. So I'm going to go and do that over at the sewing machine. Okay, so once you've got this all sewn together, next thing you need to do is just turn it right side out. So I'm just going to do that now. Okay, so once you've turned it right side out, it should look like this. I'm just going to press it now, and then I'm going to sew the top bit onto this bit. Okay, so the next step is to pin this piece to the top of the hat piece. So what you're going to do is you want to pin it to the inside part of your circle. So just line it up right sides together and just pin it down. Okay, so when you've pinned it or clipped it together, it should look like this. So now you're just going to sew just along the edge here, just to sew the two pieces together. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sew along here. Okay, so when you've sewn it together, it should look like that. And then your last step is then to sew the pieces together. So you do that opposite sides together. So like this, and then just sew straight down there. And there you have your finished hat. So I'm just going to go put this on my Nuimo now and make sure it fits. Got my saw ready. Now I'm going to saw this, so let's do it. stored anything for ages. I need to sit this way. Can you see that? There we go. Okay, so my camera battery has just died, so I'm having to film on my phone. So I'm not sure how good it's going to be, but I managed to cut these now. So I just need to sand them down so they're not rough. So I've never made these before, I'm just totally winging it, so I'm not sure how it'll turn out. Just found all these random bits in my craft supplies and thought might make a good broomstick, so we'll see. So I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just going to wrap a loader here at the bottom, and then I'm thinking wrap that around it, hot glue it, and then we've got a broom. So I'm just going to try that. I've not put my hot glue gun on yet because obviously Alice is around, so I'm not going to put it on until I need it. We'll work out how long I need the pieces. I'm going to put it about there. Maybe. I'll try that. Might be a bit long. So I'm just going to get a bundle till I think it looks enough. I'm going to get my hot glue gun ready now. Just wait for that to heat up. Just need to glue the magnet onto it now. There we go. Right, one down, two to go. Don't know if you saw it very well, but there you go. Okay, so here are the finished witches costumes. I think they look really, really cute. So the last thing I added was just the ribbon around the waist and around the top of the hats. I've just tied that around, but if you wanted to, you could sew it or you could even hot glue it on. So yeah, I'm really happy with the little witches costumes. I hope you like them too, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. So if you have, please give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.